Let me get over to my notes here. It's the Chronic Mama, Erin Schaefer, and I am live streaming, I hope, which I'm sure is causing a great disturbance in the force. So I thought about just telling you my story chronologically, but if you have a chronic illness, you know that the road to diagnosis and treatment is a very long highway, and it's filled with all kinds of pitfalls and dead ends, and sometimes those little truck stops that sell artisan jerky, I really like those. Um, so I only have about 5 minutes, mostly because that's how long I have before my daughter runs in and asks for a cookie. My parents are watching her, but they can only hold her back for so long. So I'm just going to hit the high notes and tell you the information that I'm equipped to tell you. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 4 years ago. Um, I have most of the classic fibro symptoms, including the memory loss and sensitivity. I also have endometriosis and PCOS, which I knew I had a couple of years before I knew I had the fibro. And that causes a lot of metabolic upset that I kind of have to manage day by day. Um, to be honest, I probably had symptoms for a lot longer than I thought. But I kind of listened to everybody that said, oh, being tired is just part of being human, or life is painful, you got to try harder, or oh, fall off all the time, just stick them back on with coconut oil, just things like that. I listened to them for much too long. uh, so I have two kids, ages 6 and 15. um, my husband of 6 years also has chronic pain. He met me shortly after my diagnosis, or not after my diagnosis, after my pain began. So he's only ever known this hot mess. He doesn't seem to mind, which is why I like him. I'm a third generation nurse. I've been a nurse for about 15 years. I'm not currently able to work mostly because of my pain symptoms, but also because of some pretty severe memory problems I was having. Um, we are extremely fortunate, all of us, to live with my parents in Houston because, four cripples are better than two. So we all have some kind of chronic health problem, and we all just kind of do what we can, and it's working really well. So now that you know a little bit about me, I'm going to give you the biggest piece of advice I wish I had known. In learning to live with my chronic illness, I kind of had to start looking at my energy as a finite budget, like the money in a bank account, which, if you know me, is hilarious because I cannot manage money to save my life. If you have heard of the spoon theory, it's kind of like that. But to me, an energy budget is easier to explain to somebody who isn't familiar with chronic illness. So look at it this way. Normal people's energy budgets are like someone who has a decent paying job, a checking account, and a healthy savings account. They can pay their bills every month, and they still have money to do what they want to, within reason. When something unexpected happens, like house repairs or car breaking down, they can always just take a little bit out of their savings, or they can go to work and work a few more hours, and get a little bit more money that way, without having to alter their lifestyle too much. Chronically ill people only have a checking account. We just have that one pitiful little account. There's no savings, and we're on a fixed income. There's no way to increase how much gets deposited in that account. Um, so we just have to do what we can with just a little bit of what most people get. And then when something happens to eat up more of our budget, we're kind of in a mess. Um, so then you add parenting to that. And it's like you've just taken that little bitty, sad, lost, lonely checking account and added a massive student loan payment. Um, Student loans really suck. So does chronic illness. Um, so it's impossible, right? Like something like that is impossible. Um, but it happens. The CDC says that 1 in 2 Americans have a chronic illness, and 1 in 4 of those Americans that have chronic illness have more than one diagnosis. Um, so I know there have got to be some real superheroes out there getting it done. So just like with any budget, you got to figure out how to stretch it. I kind of started saying to myself, I can't try harder. So I'm going to have to try different. Uh, that doesn't mean getting less from your efforts. Trying differently doesn't mean getting less. Think about it this way. So if you have a lot of room in your budget, you might stop for breakfast before you go to work every day, and drive through and get a sausage biscuit or a breakfast burrito and a cup of coffee. And that might be your daily ritual, but say you're trying to stretch that budget because of that student loan payment that we talked about. So maybe you start making breakfast at home, but maybe you make better breakfast than McDonald's. So you can have like good sausage and good pancakes and actually make a good cup of coffee, and you don't have to sit in the McDonald's drive-through. So, you know, you can get that breakfast for a fraction of the price, and I call that a win. That's not less. It costs less of your budget, but you don't get less out of the deal. Um, so a good example of a win like that in my life is the shower. I'm a girly girl and I want to do all the things in the shower. I want to moisturize and exfoliate and shave my handlebar mustache and, polish my horn and everything else, besides washing, I now do in a folding chair in my bathroom by my sink. So not only do I get to just kind of chill out and prop my legs up while I'm doing most of my morning ritual, but I also get more time to enjoy that awesome shower nirvana where no kids are talking to me. I get some of my best ideas in there. So I'm happier, I'm healthier, I'm more relaxed, and I'm better groomed. And my husband loves it, especially when it means my legs don't feel like cheese graters in bed. I'm not saying that it's a simple thing to do to figure these things out. It's definitely not easy, which is why I have started to spend a little bit of extra energy I have trying to figure out simple, accessible, easy ways for people with chronic illness to do things. Um, Aside from being conscious of your energy budget, the other advice that I can give to people with chronic illness is kind of what I would tell anyone, sick or not. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself the way that you would treat somebody in your situation. Um, Educate yourself because you deserve to know every option available to you. And people aren't going to just hand that information out. You have to go fight for it. Keep your perspective however you have to, because the only way to survive the pain in this life is to remember that there's more to life than just pain. Um, you got to laugh at yourself because you are delightful in your own way. I promise you, I know it sounds crazy, but I have never met a single person who wasn't funny somehow. I mean, whether they knew it or not, laugh's a laugh. Um, so you keep working and I will too. I'm here for you. If you have a chronic illness and need to reach out, you can drop me a line at thechronicmama@gmail.com or look me up on Facebook. I want to thank ZubiaLive and Facebook for hosting this live stream. And I hope that everybody has a great night. Keep doing the good you do and don't forget to be good to yourself.